Hi, Jordan. I thought that I would take a look at some things which you said a little over a month ago. I thought that you might be interested in seeing them again, so let's take a closer look.
If I didn't want any hate, and if I wanted to be loved, which really isn't love because I've realized nearly all the Christians have turned their back on me, not all of them, but a lot of them, I would have just stayed a Christian, whatever else. I'd have just blocked all the atheists on here and just went on with my life and just, lived a lie. But I can't do that. I have to be honest with myself, and I have to realize that things have changed, and that I've changed, and people change.
Now, Jordan, I want you to sincerely ask yourself, what has changed since the time you made this video? Are you going back to beliefs which you previously held because you're seeking the love and the approval of these people that were no longer showing you that? You mentioned in this video that that's not truly love, and that is correct. So I want you to examine the motivations for going back here.
But you have to realize that coming from my perspective, how hard this is, growing up this way, being taught all these things, being taught what's right and wrong from the Bible, taking this as the absolute truth. There's nothing else outside of this. This is all that there is. And being taught all of these things, and then one day kind of, over a small period of time, waking up and just being like, this isn't how things are. It's totally different. And being open to a whole new world, it is exciting. It is exhilarating. But it's very scary, and especially if your whole family is religious.
As someone who recently left Christianity myself, I can relate to the feelings that you're expressing here, and being able to recognize that there's different perspectives looking at the world than what you were indoctrinated into previously, and being able to recognize that the point of view held previously doesn't seem to be an accurate portrayal of how reality actually works. And that is indeed a very scary thing to go through, because it's like your entire frame of reference for dealing with pretty much everything you have to in everyday life has kind of been uprooted entirely. And that's very uncomfortable. It's very unsettling. So I have to wonder here if part of the fear and the uncertainty is creeping back, and you are kind of allowing yourself to go back to places where you feel more comfortable. And part of the problem with doing this is that you can become susceptible to people who know how to take advantage of your vulnerability. And I think that's what's going on here, both with the Mormon missionaries and with this street preacher, that they're really good. They're really good at finding and targeting and recruiting the right people. And I think you're kind of in that stage right now where you're a prime target. So I really want you to consider the changes which you mentioned you had gone through previously. And if it's difficult for you to accept, there are other people out there who are going to be willing to honestly and transparently talk with you about these things, and they aren't going to be out to exploit or recruit you. They're going to respect your autonomy as a human being and not try to bag another sale, which is part of what I see is going on here. So please, if you need to talk with somebody, don't go back to the people who you have been talking with previously. Please talk to people on YouTube. I'm going to link to the Bakersfield Skeptics Society. There may be people there who you can talk with also, who are not going to try to shove an ideology down your throat. I'm just very, very concerned about what I'm seeing in these recent videos.
But I see a lot of, I guess, like, some contradictions on the surface at least, like, God is love, yet, God has had people murdered, God sends people to hell. Also, I think it's kind of just ridiculous on the surface to think, okay, we should believe in the Bible even though it's 2,000 years old, and very well it was written by men who claimed it was from the Holy Spirit. Just some of these things now that I'm looking at just seems kind of erroneous to believe. And that's just me. I don't know. I really don't know what caused that to happen. It just happened.
These are genuine concerns about the content of the Bible, Jordan. Have you dealt with these concerns which you raised previously to your satisfaction? If you haven't done so, wouldn't it be better to continue to approach these questions with the same skepticism and open-mindedness to being incorrect, which you displayed previously?
Dealing with real life situations, and like actually having to deal with them, not just kind of sit back and say let God handle it, in which I did for 2 years with my anxiety, mind you, to all those that say, well, you don't need medication, can screw off, because I sat back for 2 years praying to God, crying myself to sleep at night, saying He would heal me, and He never did. And I'm not mad at God about that, because I've realized that I don't believe that He exists. So I waited all the time for Him to heal me, and then I finally took the steps and went out and got the help that I needed. And I took the medication, and I got better myself, thanks to the medication as well and the doctors. But people were telling me, oh, just pray, just have faith. It didn't do anything for me. And I'm sorry to say that, and if that upsets you, I don't mean to.
You mentioned that faith wasn't sufficient for you here, but that's precisely what the Mormon missionaries told you to rely on, wasn't it? Is that exactly what the street preacher is telling you to do also? Why has the previous position of faith, this nebulous term, which has been defined for you by the people trying to sell it to you, why has that all of a sudden become enough?
One thing that I've noticed, just really quick, maybe off topic, but a lot of Christians, should keep more of an open dialogue with people, because if they have the absolute truth, they shouldn't be afraid of anything anyone else has to say to them, especially atheists or agnostics. And I know myself, I would always block atheists or agnostics and wouldn't answer their comments or PMs or anything, because I had no answers to what they would say. So I think it's good to be that open-minded to where you can be honest and say I don't know if you don't know, and you can address these things rather than just kind of brushing them away and trying to hide them with instead of just being honest and saying you don't know, which a lot of Christians aren't, because I know I myself was.
Please be honest here, Jordan. Isn't this precisely what you're doing right now? With your goodbye video, with interpreting valid scrutiny by atheists and agnostics on YouTube as simply hate, and brushing this scrutiny aside and simply calling for affirmation. It seems that you're actually betraying the previous honesty and genuineness of character which you had mentioned that you cherished. So please, I implore you, if you need to talk to somebody about these issues, about defining yourself, about your outlook on the world, and so forth, please do not go to people who have an agenda to recruit you. There are lots of people here on YouTube that will be willing to talk with you. Again, I'm going to link to the Skeptic Society. Please don't go back to people who are going to exploit you emotionally for their own reasons.